Final Fantasy Tactics A2 is a game I've played an unfortunate amount of ever since my parents randomly gifted it to me as a teenager. I don't know why they did. I hadn't played either Tactics game, but after playing it again for the first time in probably almost a decade, and completing all 300 quests for the first time, I can conclude this is a nothing game. And I still like it despite everything, even though my brain is telling me I probably shouldn't. Mid-2025, I had a poll asking my audience what they'd like to see as a stream series. Crystal Project won, but I stopped that after a couple of sessions because it wasn't my kind of game, meaning I was able to pivot to the poll's second place, Tactics A2. Every time I start a run of this game, my party always ends up being very similar, if not completely identical. Elementalist Summoner Viera, Illusionist Sage Numo, Gladiator Trickster Banga, Gunner Moogle Knight Moogle, Raptor Ravager Gria, and Luso. I can never remember. I'm pretty sure Dual Wield is involved, whatever it is. This created a false meta in my head where Humes were the worst race, so my challenge run for A2 was a Humes only one. If anyone watching is familiar with A2, that statement is obviously false, but I didn't learn that until the run was already getting going, so instead I switched the stream's goal to learn what the Humes are good at. And I certainly did. Whereas a lot of RPGs have humans as the jack-of-all-trades, not really good at anything race, A2 is almost the total opposite. Dual-wielding paladins for massive non-elemental greatsword damage, geomancy paraveers for easy 300 to 400 damage elemental blade strikes, magic frenzy illusionist to hit everyone on the map multiple times in one turn while you crouch in the corner, and blue mage as the gimmick job that's actually more annoying than 5's version somehow. Beastmaster is not a Hume job, so sadly I wasn't able to get White Wind, Dragon Force, Mighty Guard, and the like, but Roar really does just carry the job on its back. Let's get the tier list, with massive air quotes, out of the way first. There is no objectivity here, it's basically just how often I use the job or its abilities to get to the end of the game. I always try to tell myself that I'm definitely going to use Steel Loot this run to get a jump start on the Bazaar, or that I'll totally put the Soldier's ability on a Hunter so I can shoot someone with rend speed from across the map, but I really gotta stop lying to myself. Thief is good for some speed growths early on, but it gets totally deprecated by Ninja, and Soldier is as basic as you can get as far as physical jobs go. I'd only use those jobs to unlock other jobs, and an annoying thing in the Bazaar is that I kept getting Soldier and Warrior mixed up when ability names came up on the weapon screen. The passive and reaction abilities got a lot of use, like Thief getting Counter for some reason, which I used for literally the entire game, and Soldier getting Monkey Grip and Shield Bearer, great for Paladin and the Mages respectively. But the job abilities, I just didn't bother with. I always forget you can steal an enemy's smash gauge. Whoever does that, that's definitely an unfinished mechanic, right? I was kinda surprised at how often I went back to Archer's skills. I'm not a fan of Focus because of how turns and speed work in this game, but Cupid and Burial were by far my most used skills from this guy. I would have used Concentration to help with the accuracy, but unfortunately, the Bazaar in this game is really bad and not good, so I didn't get it until like 40 hours in. Maybe more. Sadly, Burial, like the Thief, got deprecated by Paladin eventually when that job learns a non-bow dependent ranged version of Burial that also does damage and hits an area. But Cupid is a legitimate asset for a Hume-only run. Status effects are pretty destitute. Also, Archer's Bane came into play shockingly often. I only had it equipped because I had nothing else, but I'm constantly surprised at how stupid the AI is. Ninja gives dual wield, and unlike Final Fantasy V, throw sucks ass in this game. You can throw just about any weapon, but the range is very limited, and the damage is real bad, even if you throw the crazy strong stuff. The Veils are comically weak magic attacks, even if you put them on a mage, and the debuffs had very low activation chance, so I don't know. Dual wield is used on any job real well. I wish Seer could dual wield books. As for Black Mage, they do hit real hard, but by the midway point of the game, I would typically only switch to them once I'm done learning skills because they have the Hume's highest magic attack growth. Aga tier magic isn't that much stronger than Aura tier, so Magic Frenzy doesn't benefit as much as it could, which is a bummer. Black Mage does get Geomancy though, which is an amazing skill, but once again, Bazaar nonsense meant I couldn't get it until endgame, so I couldn't abuse it nearly as much as I could have. I farmed the auctions for the dual-wield katana. I should have done the same for Geomancy, but whatever. This game didn't really need to be easier. Fighter is badass. Air Render is such an annoying move to constantly get hit by from all the early game banga, so learning it yourself after a few hours is really liberating. Aura Blast is the better version that hits an area. Backdraft gives you small heals if you're lucky enough to bazaar into a fire shield. I got to rush people off cliffs for a whole mission, and apparently they get a wind move that I never got because I can't spend the entire video complaining about the Bazaar, I'm sorry. The fighter's moveset was on my 3 physical units for the vast majority of the game until I started using the Hunter and Paraveer's skill sets more. But all the strength they got from their fighter levels really helped early on. The A2 White Mage must have some award for shortest stick drawn. There's no way around it. They lost Holy, Protect, and Shell, and are stuck with the Cure line, Revive spells, and Status Cleansers. And unless you're a hard mode enemy, Curative Magic really sucks in this game. It barely cures anything, so I was expecting to not use it except to learn other jobs. And, well, yeah, I kinda did do that. But right before the ending, I started using Refresh to get rid of the nonsense this game vomits at you, with the occasional Esuna, Kiraga, and Arise in between. This job is not going to be accurately ranked because of when I finally decided to use it, but it helped a lot in the game's hardest moments, so I'll give it credit. I will admit that Refresh probably could have been deprecated by the ribbons, but I wanted other passive abilities. It's kinda complicated. My endgame Luso was dual-wielding the Fallen Angel and Sequencer, teleporting around with the Fairy Shoes, taking minimal damage with the Petrol. Petrol? The skill set is pretty lame, aside from cover when you need to protect a stupid NPC, but I like big swords. Yeah, all these jobs are amazing for their own reason. I really couldn't order them if you asked me to. Hunter does shitloads of damage with Ultima and Sidewinder, with Aura Blast as a great ranged option to finally push Fighter out of the spotlight. One of my units at endgame was just a guy who walked around Ultima shotting every turn. Blue Mage is a Roar bot, and I assume is required for Bright Moon Tor, and Sandstorm was great too with the occasional blinds. Also, I had surprisingly good Doom accuracy. Paraveer just shits out damage even without Geomancy. I don't know why their Blade Strikes are so overtuned and are capable of inflicting debuffs, but with having the highest Hume attack growth, they show their strength in a big way. Illusionist with the 20 MP per turn privilege and their half MP passive means full party damage every single turn with any element except for Dark, and a non-elemental one just in case. Seer might be the best Hume job because Magic Frenzy synergizes with everything, mage or otherwise, plus it can give itself 20 MP for free in case that somehow wasn't enough. Seers can also let people equip ribbons, which I used for a bit, and likely should have used more, but I was going more for damage-centric builds. This game kinda revolves around damage over anything else. Okay, tier list is over. I was trying for a while to find a better way to segue into this, but I feel like this game kinda sucks. There's a quote from a review of A2 that I read often, and I would recommend you read it as well, and it goes as such. I'd probably enjoy Tactics A2 a lot more if I was still a 14-year-old with a 14-year-old's standards, perspectives, and assumptions of illimitable time. There is no way I'd like this game if I had played it for the first time today. A2 is bloated to the max, and I believe a lot of the issues stem in some way from the original Tactics Advance. There is no way this game needed to have 300 missions. It should have condensed them all into a much more interesting 100 or something, but I can see it from Square's perspective. A1 had 300 missions, and that was a Game Boy Advance game. How could we have 1/3 the content of that as a DS game? I get it when observed from that angle, from the quantity over quality angle. A lot of reviews definitely would have marked it down a few points for that, but the reality here is that 95% of this game is a mindless, thoughtless, grindful bore. You can say, fairly, I'll add up front, that this game is not forcing you to do all 300 of those missions. Only 20 of them are required to see the ending. But like, the most exciting part of the game is barfing your loot into the bazaar to get cool new weapons and abilities. So how are you going to get the loot? By doing the missions, of course. And how are you going to get the AP required to master those abilities? Yeah, you get it. The fact that bonus AP3 is hidden behind 3 separate clan trials is heinous. That's some Geneva Convention shit. And everything takes 10 times longer to do than it should. Animations are unskippable and very slow. Even just walking around adds up the time. I kinda resented getting the teleport anywhere shoes because it feels like it makes moving around take even longer. You have to watch the enemies slowly decide what they want to do, and if you want their turns to go marginally faster, you have to be bashing A on their turn to go through the confirmation boxes. It's a double-edged sword, and both ends are Damocles above your heart. The end of my stream series is me holding the speed up key more than I'm not just to get a move on. It's a miracle I ever had patience for this. I guess I do like Pokemon Gen 4 though. Another prong I can add to that sword is the difficulty, or lack thereof. I played on hard mode for the first time this time around, which starts very promising. It's obvious from the get-go that enemy stats are just being artificially inflated, which is the worst kind of difficulty, but I was willing to look past it in service of getting a more engaging experience. I don't think I got what I wanted. The difficulty evens out as soon as you're able to get some good bizarre equips and actual ranged abilities that aren't magic, so all the difficulty seems to do is make fights take longer. The AI is legendarily stupid in this game. There's literally no cases for preventing them from trying an attack on you that has a 0% success rate, whether it's from debuff immunity, or Archer's Bane, or an enemy trying to use a move that only works if they have single-digit health left when they have quite a bit more than that. Implying any intelligence here would be an insult to computers. I would say there's 2 difficult parts in this game. One is the antlion that comes around the midpoint of the story right before you're allowed access to the second continent, and the other is the optional endgame dungeon and 301st mission. I guess that means there's 3 hardest points, but bear with me here. The antlion is interesting because it's an incredibly tanky beast that can hit your entire party for huge damage, and if you get too close, it can eat you to heal a large chunk of its HP, so you actually need some kind of plan going in. The endgame stuff, and I do mean end game, is complete nonsense though, and is an admission by the game that it can only get a leg up on you if it cheats. When you complete the game's 300 quests, a final quest opens up that's a series of battles versus various metagamey job setups. I only got to the second round before getting wiped, so I didn't truly see what kind of shit this game could get up to. But seeing the overpowered stuff you can do in this game is interesting in that the developers definitely knew how busted this game could be. After that, there's Bright Moon Tour, a series of 3 dungeons of repetitive enemy recolors with ridiculous ROM hack moves. Both of these things have a shared issue, which is that they force all the enemies to go first, regardless of what anyone's speed stat is. Square knows speed is the god stat in this game, and they were probably aware of the crazy turn-taking assassins could do in A1, so here's something that is completely emblematic of the tower. The last thing that I ever did in my stream series of A2. An enemy casts a full party slow inflicting move on me, another enemy casts a full party haste on them, I proceed to get absolutely no turns while they wail on me, and when I do get a turn to dispel the buffs, the bird goes again, undoes my work, and I just die. Whether there's counterplay to this or not, I don't think it matters much. It's just as much an admission of guilt. If the difficulty was an actual curve, I'd be more accepting, but there's no cliffs at all. It's either flatlining or spiking off the chart. Because I'm good at writing scripts, I couldn't figure out where to put this part, but the law system is just horrible. And even if you disagree with this video overall, which is fine, I think this should be universal for anyone who has played this game for more than like 5 hours. It seems to be an improvement from A1's, as far as I'm aware, but as someone who hasn't personally experienced it, I can only go off secondhand information. If you don't break the law, which is anything from don't use fire to don't do over 100 damage at once, you get a special perk of your choosing, the ability to revive your units, and some insignificant items at battle's end. The laws that the game expects you to follow are so absurd that my only takeaway was that the devs are just having a laugh at your expense. Don't use fire? You were using a fire sword, law broken. Don't get robbed? You failed the 50-50, law broken. No knockback? Critical hit, law broken. Don't target distant enemies? Critical hit, the enemy is now considered distant, law broken. Don't target yourself? You casted a spell on an enemy with reflect and it hits you, law broken. Yeah, I guess that one's my fault, but still, seriously? Don't harm the weak in a map where every enemy is under your level? You're always overleveled in this game. Don't have under 200 health, don't heal, move exactly 3 tiles, no missing. It's nonsense. And the benefits are too good to not have. AP up 3 is necessary to minimize grinding. MP channeling means you can clear missions faster with moves like Ultima or Illusion Magic. Move up for those collect things on the ground missions. Regen for the only good way to heal yourself in hard mode. So losing that on a coin flip is insanely frustrating. Did I even talk about the story? Probably not. There's barely one to be had, and the main plot flies in the face of the game's structure so hard I have to wonder if someone got a concussion. The game involves Luso getting isekai'd to furry Ivalice and wanting to find a way home. That's all. Sounds simple, but you remember that mission count, right? It's easy to go on about how literally 85% of this game is a side quest of some variety, but I suppose it's not that different from any other JRPG story. Yeah, I probably should go stop the big bad from destroying all life on the planet, but I promised to go to the beach with my friends. And the prom's tomorrow. It'd be less egregious if Luso had any character trait whatsoever. Again, haven't played A1, but I understand that Marsh was a very contentious character, which I have to conclude Luso was a dramatic overcorrection for. He's barely a character. The intro implies he's a bit of a brat, but joining up with clan furries sands off all his edges immediately in line with his ridiculous hat. The main plot plays out so straight and vanilla, I can only assume the side missions are there to be any sort of stimulation to keep you conscious, because yeah, most of the optional content has story beats that would be far better suited for a main story. Fremelda's story of betrayal, Dualhorn's failed conquest of Jylland? Bowen of House Bowen's quest for revenge against the chicken that sat on his wife, the Bonga Bugle editor getting the perfect scoop. It's all there to be 100 times more appealing than going back to fight Illua and her band of nobodies. Is it really worth getting so down about an ultimately harmless DS game? No. I don't have any qualifying statement here. I stand by that opening in that I do like this game. It's completely imbalanced, the main plot is boring, the main characters are cardboard, everything takes too long to do, the law system is stupidly implemented, it's stuffed with hours of unnecessary content, but it's also nice to look at, easy to understand, extremely customizable, has a fantastic soundtrack, just generally gives you a fun power fantasy of steamrolling over hateable people with dual-wielding greatswords, and it's just genuine. Unlikely as it is, since A2 didn't even sell 1 million, I hope a Tactics Advanced duology is released someday, so modern audiences can experience Luso's isekai adventures.